You need to stop drafting 3 players in fantasy football, and I'm here to give you 3 other options that you should take instead right here on RotoWire, and we'll hop right back into it. Instead of taking Kyren Williams, go ahead and take Omarion Hampton at this point. I love Kyren Williams, but statistically, it shows that he's a replaceable talent at this point. He has one of the worst broken tackle rates. The Rams, with Kyren Williams as their starting running back, has one of the worst explosive play rates for rushing. It explains why they spent draft capital on Blake Corum and explains why they spent more draft capital on Jarquez Hunter later. These are 2 guys that fix the 2 problems that Kyren Williams can't do. 1 is break tackles, 2, it's being an explosive player. Moreover, it's touchdown cologne that has held up Kyren Williams' value for so long. He's just been scoring from inside the 1-yard line because Matt Stafford and Sean McVay have a good enough offense to support someone like Kyren Williams. That's a stat that isn't sticky, and in most cases points to a negative regression. And on the other side, Omarion Hampton, I know we have these cool stat and player comparisons over at RotoWire. Hard to compare someone who hasn't played in the NFL yet, but keep in mind the draft capital that Omarion Hampton already has and the scheme. Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh love to run the football, and Najee Harris is a Cyclops now, or at least we're not even sure. All we do know is he's not playing and that backfield's wide open, and this is a run first team. So if we have someone who is explosive, is athletic, is big, is breaking tackles, and is in a run first system, why are we letting him slide just to take Kyren Williams? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, and I'll let someone else have him. Well, I'll take the rookie while he's still on that discount before people realize there's no one else back there. Next, stop drafting Xavier Worthy. Go get Odunze. I feel like Xavier Worthy is going to be a cautionary tale. We were already going to see that ADP creep up since Rashee Rice might have an impending suspension. Drafters are going to be a little bit cautious, and then they'll want to reach up because of what they saw from Xavier Worthy when Rashee Rice went down last season. But keep in mind, this is a different team and this is a different time. Xavier Worthy was the only wide receiver available during that time period. Fast forward to this year, now they've brought in Jalen Royals, Hollywood Brown is healthy again, and Brashad Smith is a wide receiver combo that I'm sure Andy Reid is going to love scheming up. They don't need to force Xavier Worthy into a, let's say, Rashee Rice role, and he can be used in the same way he was before the injury, where he's going to be a deep threat, work his way across the formation in motion, and they're going to scheme up touches for him. Do I think that he's going to be a bust? That is relative to his draft capital. I think he's going to be a useful player, but I don't expect him to immediately hop in a Patrick Mahomes wide receiver 1 and have that Tyreek Hill upside that I know a lot of people expect. Then you go over to Odunze, again using the player comparison tool. You would think that we'd be a lot more excited about Odunze because if you think about the targets that Odunze had and the crowded offense that he had in comparison to the Chiefs, we should be way more in. Odunze has the draft capital. He received targets downfield. We didn't even see him work the intermediate level just because he had the ghost of Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore. Now Keenan Allen's gone. They did bring in Luther Burden, but I think that impacts DJ Moore a lot worse. And most importantly, we know that Ben Johnson can cook up an offense, and I can't wait to get my hands on pieces of it. Whereas I find Xavier Worthy to be explosive, but a limited player, I find Odunze to be a well-rounded target earner that I can't stop drafting, and I can't get myself to take after someone like Xavier Worthy. And before we go any further, make sure to stop, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps us continue to get this amazing content to you. And if you want the power to teach yourself to fish, you can go over to RotoWire.com, use the code YouTube15 at checkout, and this gives you 50% off on all of our subscriptions, all of our tools, all of our products, and you can use all these cool things like our player comparison tool. You're about to start redraft season as well, so you can use our draft assistant and our draft kit and use all this cool data that I'm showing to you right now. And we'll hop back into it where I have a pair of tight ends that might be my favorite 2 on this list solely because of the gap between their average draft position. This is going to break my heart because I love the player. I just hate the average draft position and the situation, but don't draft Sam LaPorta, draft David Njoku later. The Lions are a run-first team if they can help it. I know that we saw an explosive passing offense towards the tail end of the season, but I think that was a product of necessity and not necessarily what they actually want to do. They have David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're prepared to give them the ball 40 times a game if necessary. This doesn't mean that Jared Goff sucks. It doesn't mean anything about their pass catchers. It's just the identity that Dan Campbell has instilled within this team. And we already saw that at the beginning of last season when they had an entire defense intact. That meant that Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam LaPorta both returned disappointing production for where we were drafting them. You're still paying premium tight end prices during a range where you can get high upside wide receiver 2 or 3s. Same thing for running back 2s. Or if you want an elite quarterback, that's in that same range. You can let someone else take Sam LaPorta, and then you could just get David Njoku later, who, yes, he doesn't have as much green in his chart as Sam LaPorta, but I think it's important to lay out the difference in the games played, because on a points per game basis, there was very little difference between David Njoku and Sam LaPorta. Njoku only had 11 games. He had that burn injury, nothing on the field, so I won't say that he's just this injury risk player. And the Browns are a run-first team, and they love using their tight ends. Now, I'm not going to say that the quarterback situation is attractive over at the Browns, but David Njoku has been productive regardless of who that quarterback has been. As far as I'm concerned, the Browns have never had a good quarterback in my career. They had one good year of Baker, and they shipped him off for a pack of peanuts. David Njoku could give you the same upside, arguably the same floor, and maybe a little bit more risk, but that's baked into his cost. I'm willing to build other areas of my offense that actually could win me leagues, and not just bet on Sam LaPorta because of that rookie name value. And I will say, I'm not saying that Sam LaPorta is a pure avoid. Maybe you should get some shares of best ball because things happen. We saw the Lions' entire defense go down. They were forced to throw the ball. There could be shootouts. But if we're just looking at the raw number and the statistics that point towards production and upside, I want to mitigate my risk, and you do as well. And that's exactly why we have tools and player comparisons, so you could take away the bias when you're making these decisions, whether you're choosing who you want to build your roster around and who you want to target when you're building out your cheat sheet or draft kit, or you want to decide who you want to trade for at dynasty, redraft. This is how you look at it. What do the raw numbers tell me? And then I can extrapolate that information and apply it to the other context I know, like who's their quarterback, what's this team going to look like, what's their target share. And right now, I'm willing to bet that a run-first team like the Browns probably has enough meat on the bone for their tight ends as a run-first team like the Lions. And that'll do it for me, folks. Again, hit the like, subscribe button. I'm Jagger May. If you wanted more on this action or RotoWire, make sure to use that code YouTube15 so you can do your own player comps as well. Love you, and we'll see you on the next one.